Welcome to the PROcast, where we invite business doers who are changing lives by sharing their stories, their strategies and tactics, and who bravely talk about their failures that actually led to their biggest successes. Now it's time to go pro with Jeremy Torisk. For over 30 years, my guest today has been successfully showing entrepreneurs, leaders, and sales professionals how to communicate their value and accelerate their referral business. Although for years, he was known best for his sales classic, Endless Referrals, it's his business parable, The Go-Giver, co-authored with John David Mann, that has created a worldwide movement. While part of a 4-book series, The Go-Giver itself has sold more than 1 million copies, and it's been translated into 30 languages. It was rated number 10 on Inc. magazine's list of the most motivational books ever written, and on HubSpot's 20 most highly rated sales book of all time. Bob is an advocate, supporter, and defender of the free enterprise system, believing that the amount of money one makes is directly proportional to how many people they serve. He's also an unapologetic animal fanatic and served on the board of directors of Furry Friends Adoption and Clinic in his town of Jupiter, Florida. Please give a humongous round of applause, my guest, Bob Burg. Miss your Berg.
Wow, you've even got that studio applause thing going. That's a great touch. That's a person who puts a little extra into what they do.
Thank you. Well, it's really one of the very first too, and not that anyone before you wasn't worthy, but it's just you're another level. So you've taken me from cheeseburger to steak. So
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
So I had the pleasure of being in your company a few weeks ago at the Florida Speakers Association. You came out and spoke to us, and I can't tell you how much I really couldn't pay attention because I run, the electronics and the camera.
Oh, you made it all happen.
Well, I enjoy it so much, but it really takes a lot of focus, and so I thank you for being here and allowing me some one-to-one time because I went back and watched it as I was editing it, and it was so great. I start off every show, though, by giving a little homage to my buddy Steve Nudelberg and asking you to tell us something good.
Something good. Well, Steve's a great guy. So Steve is something good.
He is something. He's been a charm and a life changer in our lives.
Yeah. And also, you're someone who's very good, and, learning your story. And I think I told you afterwards that learning your story and what you've been through and what you've had to overcome, is really something that I took to heart. That's, I mean, the bravery, the stick-to-itiveness, the resilience is just something that I totally have so much admiration and respect for.
Well, thank you very much. I've learned how to do this. Thank you. Not really great
To
at
be
that,
able to receive.
but thank you. Yeah, exactly. You're open to receive. One of the principles, right, of the Go-Giver.
Exactly.
And so we'll get into. I just want to talk a little bit before I kind of start at the beginning. What number in the line of books that you wrote was the Go-Giver?
I think it was the fourth.
It was the 4th book.
Yeah.
Did you learn? Of course, the answer is yes. But how was this the journey to that 4th book? Because that obviously the Go-Giver, and in the intro I said how many accreditations and how big it is. Where did you learn by doing the first 3 books that led to the humongous success of that one? Well, did some of those lessons apply to it, or was it just another type of book and the partnership with the with your
John David Mann? Yeah. Probably both. I mean, I think we learn from everything we do, and we learn more about book marketing and what it takes to get the book out there and how to effectively sell and market a book. I think the biggest thing with this one was that it was a parable. So all my others had been how-to books.
Yeah.
And there's the rare how-to book that sells millions and jillions of, there's the 7 habits of highly effective people, and some of those that will, but by and large, I think it's a lot easier to sell a whole lot of books when it's a parable.
Hmm.
And that's because it's a story, and stories connect. They connect on a heart level. They connect on a person to person level. And I know with me, and I've always enjoyed, since I've been in sales, I've enjoyed reading business parables and how to books as well. But
Hmm.
with business parables, I always felt a special connection with the author, with the character, with the story. Even though I didn't know the authors, I still felt that, and I figured people would with this. So we took the basic premise of endless referrals, which was that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust, and and put that really into a parable form. And of course, John David Mann is the key writer. I mean, I'm a how-to guy. I'm step one, step two, step three. John's a fantastic storyteller. And so that's the difference maker. That's what made that happen. And we've been promoting the book since it first came out 13 years ago.
Right. The endless promotion, right?
Right. Endless promotion. Right.
I think a lot to the way the differences of the how-to versus the parable is you get to use your own imagination. You get to dress the characters, give them their own, faces and bodies, and that
Uh-huh.
it imprints differently, I think, than a how-to book. At least definitely for me, but obviously for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's a great point.
so I also want to talk about speaking, because a lot, I don't have a huge audience yet. So a lot of my audience are people I know, or people in my network circle, maybe I don't know, and I know in my circle is made up of a lot of speakers. And so I value and respect your speaking career too. So can we talk a little bit about how that path happened, speaking, especially for the beginning speakers who are trying to make a go of it, some tips to how to write their life, how to make their life their speech, and how to
Mhm.
memorize, how to get up on stage for 7 minutes, maybe with the Toastmasters, and then 18 minutes maybe for TED Talks, and then an hour in front of a corporation, that are paying you $10,000. What are maybe some tips to get that process down?
Well, as far as the speaking aspect goes, I mean, I think you kind of come up with first, you have an expertise, so you do have an area where it's a strength of yours. You can speak on that topic, and you probably know more than anyone else in that room about that topic. So I
Mm,
think you have to begin there. It's something that you know.
yeah.
It's great when it's something you're passionate about, of course, something you really just want to get that message out.
Hmm.
You've got to, when you craft the speech, I mean, you do it in terms of what is the audience going to enjoy, and
Mm.
how is the audience going to benefit, because obviously they're the people you've got to impress, right?
Right.
And
The what's in
ultimately,
it for me
they
factor.
absolutely, yeah, they're not listening because you feel like standing there talking.
Right. And most people
So
don't feel like standing up there talking. I'm one of the unique, different ones where I love the spotlight and I like being on stage. And if I can't see anything and I know there's a crowd of 10,000, that would excite me. But,
yeah.
it's when you get there and you go, oh, what was I supposed to say?
Right. Well,
The oh
and that's
crap moment.
that's important, but it's also, when you think about it, it's like an actor on stage, okay?
Mm,
And if you go to and I don't care whether it's a Broadway play or your neighborhood theater, they can give a great performance up there, and I guarantee you they're not just winging it.
right.
You know,
Yes. So
they
that one, that gets a fire melt right there.
Oh, thank you. Well, you see, I love what you do with this stuff. You know that you're that above and beyond person.
Thank you.
And by the way, you did that while, for Dr. Rick, and you did it for me when we were speaking. You made us very comfortable with the process from the
Mm,
very beginning. You
interesting.
when we came in, and you got us very situated, you got us comfortable, you let us know what was going on. So, that's the kind of attitude, in the sense that you want to have for your audience, and you want to have for the people who hire you and bring you in. You want to be easy to work with, and you
Yeah.
want to make the experience for them something where they say, wow,
Right. The
okay,
wow
that was a
experience.
pleasure.
Yeah.
This guy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This guy or this gal, they went out of their way to make sure that I was right. And so, that's, I think, really such an important aspect. Um, when you put your speech together, I mean, it's like anything else. You're putting it together. There's a story in a sense,
Hmm.
right? And it's not a parable. I mean, you're telling real stories of something that happened, but you're still putting it together that, started here. This was the problem or challenge. I mean, we've all seen those, the story arcs.
Hmm.
We all know those. Um, um, and it's sort of basic. If it's a how-to type of speech, how do you cultivate a network of endless referrals? Well, you begin with the problem that the biggest challenge for most salespeople today is who do I talk to next now that my original list of names has run out. And
Yes.
and you get the audience to say, "Ooh, yeah, okay, that's
Right.
true."
That happened to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your circle, your tight influence, right? Your family and friends, and then if you've been in the system for a while, then you got maybe some industry folks,
Mhm.
some sister industries that you can lean on. But after that, it's those strangers, and then
Mhm.
deciding who is worthy of bringing into your orbit. Then, so when you start getting out of your second level of influencers, the people that you know with the system, going back to the go giver. Um, I think what I see it as, it's authenticity and energy. Those are the kind of the two fuels that I run on. And
Mhm.
so the people that you just attract people, whether from all walks of life, once you get past that second circle. And so I identified with that book so much is the first part of my life was horrible. The second part of my life was all about learning. Then I had a huge downturn where a bit tragic stuff happened. The last 10 years of my life, though, have been this Go Giver book in practice.
Wow.
And then the last 18 months was the Steve Nudelberg influence, where I had hired him
Mhm.
as coaches. I learned the value of hiring. Like, I never thought, well, I like Go Giver so much. Let's hire Bob. Maybe Bob will spend some time with me, And that's what I did with Steve. I hired Steve, and then
Mhm.
he helped me for, 7 months
That's
to
awesome.
transition from, my old industry to this one. But
Mhm.
really going outside, I found it's attracting the people, but then learning how to do the no's. So the difference between go giver, but also keeping that wall up of the negative people, is something. So how do you think does that come natural? Those feelings. How do you know when to say yes to people or no to
Well
people?
I mean, I think it's really important to understand that being a go-giver is not in any way, congruent with being a doormat or
Hmm.
being a martyr or being self-sacrificial or being taken advantage of. So being a go-giver simply means you understand that shifting your focus off of yourself and onto others, okay?
Hmm.
Moving from an I focus to an other focus, looking for ways to bring immense value to others is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable
Right.
way as well. And it's certainly, Jeremy, not for any kind of way out there. Oh, good, you did it again. Not
Yeah.
for not for any way out there kind of woo-woo magical mystical reasons. It actually makes very rational sense because when you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and place it on serving others, on discovering what they need, what they
Yes.
want, what they desire, on helping them solve their challenges. When you can move from an I focus or me focus to an other focus, helping to bring them closer to happiness, uh, people feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to do
Hmm.
business with you. They certainly want to tell others about you. So that's really what being a go-giver is all about. It has nothing to do with being taken advantage of or saying yes to toxic people or
Right.
anything
Yeah. Yeah.
like that.
That's the mistake that I made early on, the second 10 years, where I just kept letting people who didn't want what I wanted into my life and not really taking that for granted that
Sure.
they are not going to hurt me, but really they were, just for the time that you have to spend taking care. And I'm an empath, right? So whenever I'm around, I'm like an iguana, right? Or salamander. I just change that energy goes. So I got to really watch the people I'm around because I have a high energy level naturally.
Sure.
So when it's around bad, I get nasty, and that's not a fun place to be. So as an intrapreneur, because I'm an entrepreneur, but I help I help
Mhm.
businesses with their employee retention and
Mhm.
hiring practice and such. How does this apply to people that want to climb a corporate ladder, or at least don't have a choice right now, but they want to start a business in the future, maybe entrepreneurial spirited, but are going through the company structure right now. These principles can be applied the same, correct?
Yeah, well, you said it right. You said intrapreneurial, and so it's having the same mindset of an entrepreneur, which is what? Find a way to be of value to others.
Yes, yes.
Right? Because an entrepreneur, if they want their business to succeed, if they want to have a financially successful business as opposed to simply having a hobby, they've got to find a way to please their customers. They've got to find a way to please others. It's in it, I often say when I speak at a sales conference, Jeremy, that, I'll be looking at a whole bunch of corporate salespeople, right? Now, and the first thing I say is nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
gonna buy from you because,
That's the Q
uh
word.
yeah, exactly.
Right. The other one I love is commission breath.
Right. Well, yeah, they're not gonna buy from you because you need the commission. They're not gonna buy from you even just because you're a really nice person. They're gonna buy from you because they believe that ultimately they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And when you think about it, that's the only reason why anyone should buy from you or from me or from anyone else. Now, by the same token, if you're an intrapreneur, if you're
Yeah.
working within another company, right? Well, nobody's going to hire you and pay you a salary because you have a mortgage payment to
Mm-hmm.
make, or
Yeah.
because you want to send your kids to a certain school, or because you want a new toy, or again, just because you're a really nice person. They're going to hire you, keep you on, pay you a salary, perhaps
Promote you.
advance you, promote
Yes.
you,
Yeah. Yeah.
give you a raise. Why? Because you're providing immense value to them that makes it worthwhile for them to do it. So
Right.
how do you do that? You have an entrepreneurial spirit. All right. You
Yes.
say, how can I add value? How can I make myself more valuable than I am? And so that's really the key.
So I think that what I did and noticed in the second half of my career was when I started thinking of everything that I do in my life as the CEO of me. So it didn't matter that I
Ah,
didn't own the
ah, ah,
company.
ah.
Everything I do reflected on me.
That's right.
So I started not worrying about my stuff, but what am I doing? How is it impacting whatever I'm touching? The business that I'm involved with is mine because I'm in it. So I want to not set up the next department or the next process in the line in the system for failure by maybe selling on
Right.
a cancellation clause or something. You take that responsibility and you hand them a nice jewel that's really valuable instead of just getting the quota, like you said, just passing it on and mindlessly doing the numbers.
Hmm.
So when it comes to that, I found also that's when I started asking for help. I wanted to get better, so getting a mentor, finding the right mentor, knowing when to look for one, how to ask someone to be a mentor. How does one go about asking? I think it's a misnomer that people don't want to help people.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly. And I think mentorship is very important. Certainly I was very fortunate in having, mentors throughout the years who always seemed to just kind of show up when they were needed. And
that's a
and
that's a fireball right there
now
because that's true. It's the universe
yeah.
opening the curtain, saying you're ready for the next one.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't mean you don't proactively seek them out, but it means you're receptive to when they show up. You
Yeah.
create the environment, what we call creating the benevolent context for
Mm.
success. Okay. You do the right things in the process. Okay. And then these things, then they do show up because it's within that content. And then you've got to be ready to
Yeah.
receive that. So I think one of the mistakes I see people make when seeking out a mentor is maybe the way they approach that person. For example, they'll just, it's someone who they don't have a close relationship. And by the way, I think it's very important to point out that a mentor protege relationship is just that. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
And like anything else, it takes time to develop, right?
Yes.
And so when I hear someone approach someone who they're not very, they don't know well, or there's no real relationship, and they say, "Hey, will you be my mentor?" Well, there's a couple things there that make this, I believe, counterproductive. One, asking that way does not distinguish you from anyone else who's asking. And the chances are, if you want this person to be your mentor, lots and lots of other people in your position also probably want this person to be your
Mhm.
mentor, and they don't have the time to be able to mentor everyone,
Right.
obviously. So asking that way doesn't distinguish you. It might come off a little bit entitled,
Yeah.
right?
Especially
And
these days.
especially these days,
Yeah.
exactly. And so now that said, you can pretty much approach, practically anyone. But the way I would do it is more to say something along the lines of, I know you're very busy, and if this is not something you either have the time to do, or for whatever reason, it's something that you would choose not, or rather not to, I'll absolutely understand. I wonder if I might be able to ask you one or two very specific questions.
Mm.
Now, what have you done when asking that way? There's
Mm.
there's several things. Okay,
Yes.
one is again, rather than coming across as everyone else does, you've distinguished yourself a bit by letting them know that this is a big ask. This is not just a
Yeah.
something that they owe you, right? Secondly, you've given them the out or back door. You've said, and you started by saying, if this is something you either don't have the
Mhm.
time to do or for whatever reason would just rather not, I'll totally this is what I call the out or the back door. It's that
Right.
emotional escape
It's like reverse
hatch.
engineering it almost.
Well, yeah, and so here's the thing. People it's an aspect of human nature that people want autonomy. They want to be in control of their choices. So when we give someone the out
Mm.
or back door, they feel more comfortable. I always say the law of the outer back door is that the bigger the outer back door you give someone to take, the less they'll feel the
Mhm.
need
Mm.
to take it. And then the third thing you did, yeah, thank you, is you didn't just ask, can I pick your brain, which kind of
Oh.
translates as, can I waste like 3 hours of your time asking pointless questions?
Speaking of
Okay.
Steve Nudelberg, that's his worst. You can't say that to him. He'll tell you where to go. His worst coin of phrase.
Pick your brain, right.
Yeah,
So
he hates it.
instead, what you've said is, "Can I ask you 1 or 2
Yes, that's
very specific questions?" And what this says to them is a couple things. One is, okay, first, this person's not gonna waste my time.
right.
Secondly, they know what they want. They
Mm.
have an agenda, and then when I say agenda in this context, I don't mean that in a negative
Oh
way.
yeah,
"Oh, they have an agenda." I mean, they
yeah.
have an agenda. They know what they're gonna okay? And so what you want to do then next is make sure that you don't ask them. And by the way, so when you ask like that, they'll usually say, "Yeah, sure. Feel
Yeah.
welcome. Go ahead and ask," or they'll set up a time or whatever. But it might be just even right there. And so it's important to be prepared. You're speaking of preparation, you should know enough about them, really research them on the internet. I mean, there's no excuse these days. When I was a kid, it was go to the library and find out what you could about, nowadays you just go online and you can
Right.
and don't ask them anything the answer to which is online. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So tacit
right,
knowledge,
right.
something that yeah.
Right. So now you ask them a couple questions. You don't take up much of their time. You let them know how grateful you are and that you will, apply the information immediately. If it's okay, I'll, follow back. I'll check back in with you or circle back in with
Hmm.
you and let you know how things are going. They're going to say, "Yeah, great. Please do let me know." Now, the moment I either whether it's in person or on the phone or on Zoom, whatever, the moment I leave that meeting,
Mm.
my suggestion is to write a handwritten
Mm.
personalized note of thanks.
Yeah.
Very simple, very short, okay, and it's just, "Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom is absolutely of immense value. I look forward to applying it right away, and we'll, check back with you and let you know, keep you up to date
Handwritten.
and the best regards."
Yes.
And then what I would also do is make a small donate doesn't have to be anything big, but a small donation to their favorite charity. Okay. If you
Mm.
know that, they are on the board of so and so, or that they support so and so, make a small donation. Doesn't have to be anything big. Make it in their name
Yes.
because they'll be
Wow.
notified of it. And you're not doing it to kiss up to the person. You're
Right.
doing it just to communicate that, yes, well, I can't bring you the kind of value you can obviously bring to me. I'm thinking about how I can respect you and how I
Right.
can, right? So, you do these things now. A couple weeks later, a few weeks later, maybe you contact them again to kind of let them know how things are going. You ask another question. And if over time a mentor protege relationship is supposed to develop, It will.
It will
If it's not, it
organically.
won't. It might be you have 1 or 2 conversations with this person and 1 with someone else and 3 with someone else, and
Yes.
eventually you meet that person who's your Tuesdays with Mooring mentor or, what have you. But,
Yes.
so my suggestion is you go about it like this, go about it the right way, but don't be attached to the result,
Right. Yeah.
okay? And if you do that, you're gonna create that benevolent contact text for mentorship.
Well, I appreciate these answers. I just want to ask one little last question about the Go Giver. Um, who should read it? Because we only have a minute or two left, and I want to talk about your websites or something. But who should buy the Go Giver?
Well, I mean, it's written for entrepreneurs and salespeople, but we have leadership organizations that
Hmm.
utilize it. There's religious organizations, book clubs, schools. So, I mean, I think it's really, a matter of is there information in there that by applying it, as success can be measured in many different ways, whether
Right.
financial, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, social, relational, what have you. Um, and it's also a matter of success principles
Hmm.
working across the board.
Well, I think the answer that I was thinking going for, and you kind of said it, is everyone. In my opinion, everyone needs to buy this book because it applies to personal life, family life. It will make you a better person, and when I say better, it'll make you happier. And
Thank
trust
you.
me, I'm an angry person. I'm filled with rage from tons of years of damage and trauma, and it takes a lot to make me happy. And
Mhm.
I told you and came on, I have to sit on my hands these days because I've worked so hard on myself. And your book and some other books and some people in my life, I'm blessed to have them. I'm genuinely happy. Uh,
I know you are, and I can
this
and I can
book
tell, and it's
was
a
part of that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me. But you really, you set the example for us all on how to overcome and live a happy, fulfilled life despite
Right,
a
and I like to
background that
share
may
the
have.
story. Yeah, yeah, sharing those things are important. So I feel like I lean on them a little too much. It's not, well, look at me. It's, you're probably going through something similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and they're not even going through as much as you had to go through probably. So when you tell that story, it also lets them see, wow, there's people who've had it worse than I did. And you might tell the story 1,000 times and think,
Hmm.
well, but I'm telling it to them,
It's
you've told them
fresh.
once.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if there is 10,000, it's really just that one person that's
Yeah,
going to need it. I
that's
just need
right.
the mentor. Be there when they need to be. I'm hoping to be there when someone needs to
Exactly.
hear that. Websites. So this is video. So I'll blow myself up here and get you your websites done. But for people who are listening, burg.com, burg.com is a website that they can go and learn about you. We
Mhm.
got the Go Giver, all right, Go Giver Success Alliance.com.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's our membership, membership/mentorship community. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then we have the Bob Burg .com/join. And this is a good opportunity to, contact you and share with you and kind of be in your world passively, if nothing else. But I'm happy that you and I are in the same orbit right now. Uh,
Absolutely.
Anything last words to share with the audience?
No, I just wish everyone well and to keep up the great work and, decide what it is you wanna do and go after
Definitely go after it. I appreciate your
it.
time. Stick around for just half a second while I get us out of here. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go say goodbye to Bob properly, and I appreciate every single one of you.